Hey everyone, and welcome to 121 in Flux. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we of course talk about movies on this show, typically older movies. This one, not that old, because I'd argue if it's in our lifetimes, it's a contemporary film. But we're going back to 1999 because we're going to talk about The Iron Giant, which is an animated film, of course. You hadn't seen this before.
I had not. I bought the Blu-ray a while ago, and I've been sitting on it, waiting to do it just for this show.
Yeah, waiting for a good excuse. And I have seen it before. In fact, not only have I seen it before, it is perhaps my favourite animated film. Well, at least 2D animated film. Arguably favourite in general. But I love it. It's a favourite of mine. I have loved it. I have loved it for a long time. It's been a little while since I watched it, but I was looking forward to watching it again. So we'll start spoiler free as we typically do, and I'll give you some warning before we get into spoilers before we start talking about later plot details and everything else. But Iron Giant, who comes out of the sky. The story's set in 1957. What I say? 50s. It's in the 50s. Who cares?
Definitely 50s. Yeah.
Whatever year it is, whatever. But it's in the 50s, and this young kid, our main character is Hogarth, who is, a typical young kid, but he's kind of likeable, he's adventurous, he likes horror and science fiction stories, and he goes out hunting what he thinks is a giant robot, because his imagination's running wild, but then he actually runs into a giant robot. They kind of befriend, and it's kind of about hiding him, and they're hiding from this government agent who's like creeping around because he thinks there's actually something to find, and he sort of befriends the junkyard guy who kind of becomes like an ally, and obviously his mother's the main character and all this, and it's all kind of being secretive, and then kind of like, what is the Iron Giant? Is he a good guy? Is he a bad guy? That kind of thing. Well, you hadn't seen this before, so I'm curious. Did you enjoy the Iron Giant?
I did, very much.
You did? Cool.
Yeah.
Whenever I asked him that question, he goes on for about 5 minutes. I was not prepared for you to just go, yeah, I did.
Well, I think we'll get into the why when we talk about why. But straight to the point. Did I like it? Yes. You can rest easy. You don't need to worry about this being a fight.
I don't want it anyway. Let's be honest. But no, it was good to hear. I just why is it so good? What does make it great? What does it make it one of my favorites? It's a lot of it. I mean, a lot of it. I think the characters are good. I think the animation's good. But at its core, it thematically speaks to a lot of things that I like. And it's also it's a Brad Bird film, of course. He directed it, and his sort of message of optimism and hope is very much sort of lined throughout it, and it's about like we can be better than what we sometimes are. Like that's kind of the core idea of it. It's like it's choosing to be a better person. I think it's emotional. There's a couple of moments towards the end that I pretty much always tear up whenever I get to them.
Okay. Don't think it hit me quite that hard.
Yeah, but that's because you're a soulless ginger, so we've established that many a time.
That's fair.
Established that many a time. So I think that's good. I think the music's really good. I think I really appreciate that it's 2.35 to 1, because very few 2D animated films are in that ratio, because for whatever reason they just typically always went to the. I guess the way they looked at it is that it's more to animate because it's more on the sides.
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
So that's probably why they typically aren't, and it's probably why even CG animated films these days typically are not that.
It's just easier, isn't it?
Don't get me wrong, I think there's definitely some, but more often than not,
I think the thing is, you look at it and it kind of just gives it a level of prestige almost. You just go, "Oh, this is a real film."
It's cinematic. That's why directors like that ratio.
Right, exactly. It's become just synonymous with film. So you look at it and you go, "Oh, this has got prestige to it."
You do get obviously some directors who prefer various other things. Like you get the odd weirdo director who prefers 4:3. Like, no, I like a square, like a good solid square. None of this wide nonsense.
Yeah.
Just like you get directors who like to shoot in black and white and so on. Like everyone's got their own thing. Majority of directors definitely like to shoot wide, and this and I'd forgotten it was in this ratio when I started. I'm like, oh, is this new? Like, did I always see this cropped back in the day? No, apparently I didn't. It was just I had just forgotten, and maybe it is because it is such a bizarre thing, which is made you think I'd remember it. But
has it been a long time since you've seen it?
It has been a while, because there was a point where I said, I'm not going to watch this again until it's available in HD. and that was
was a long wait.
a long way ago because Iron Giant took a long time to get a Blu-ray. Took a long, long time.
Yeah,
Because it only came out what last year, like
last year, yeah. Because
yeah.
I got it when it came out, and I was pretty much waiting on it.
And I
Like
think
that's why I didn't watch it before.
I made that choice in like 2010. So go.
So, does it still stand up as one of your favorites after this viewing?
Oh yeah, easy.
Yeah. Okay. Just
Absolutely,
check.
absolutely easy. I like this more than people love their 2D animated Disney movies. I like this more than all of them. Easy. Not even a
I'd
question
have to
me.
really think about it. I will say, just to go on specifically against Brad Bird, I prefer The Incredibles still, I think, as my favorite animated movie.
Incredibles is good. It's not the Iron Giant.
I mean, part of this might be though that I never saw this as a kid. I'm seeing this today for the first time.
Do you know what? I get what you're saying there, but I don't think I appreciated this movie until I was older. Like, I mean, I
Oh,
liked it
that's fair.
when I saw it. I saw it when the year it came out, and I liked it because I was a kid. No, big robot, eh? Uh, but it wasn't until I was like maybe 17, 18 that I watched it again and really
Oh
appreciated what
no,
it did.
it definitely. I think it's fantastic. It definitely. I just mean I have no prior nostalgia at all for it to lay back on.
It's funny you took a long time to watch this actually, because it took me a long time to see The Incredibles. I mean,
Did it?
it's been a long time now since I've seen it because it's been a long time. But I didn't see The Incredibles until like I think Up was already out by the time I saw Incredibles. To put it
Oh,
into
that
sort
was
of
like 2011,
no 2009. About time.
9.
Yeah, it was 2009 because Wall-E was 2008, Up was 2009.
All right, okay. Still, a long time.
Yeah, just to put it in perspective of Pixar's
Yeah.
timeline. That's how I wanted to see The Incredibles, and I like The Incredibles quite a bit. I don't think Incredibles is arguably. Well, I wouldn't say it's more fun. There's a lot of fun in this, but I think the point I was going to say Incredibles is more fun, but this one has more heart for me. I think this one's a lot of fun as well, but
Yeah.
it's just a different kind of fun. Whereas Incredibles is kind of poking at the superhero genre, like deliberately sort of poking at it and going, "Yeah, we're going to do all these superhero
Yeah,
things,"
yeah.
and this is more about like I don't think Incredibles is cynical. I still think it's very much a love letter to superheroes. I feel like there is like an air of
Without getting too into The Incredibles, I think it is cynical because it's essentially Watchmen to a point.
kind. I wouldn't call it cynical, but I would say it's a deconstruction.
Yes.
All right. Whereas Iron Giant, I think, is not a deconstruction. Iron Giant is a no. This is why we love
Yeah,
superheroes.
it's instead of deconstruction, it's inspired by.
Yeah, this to me is more hopeful and not that I mean Incredibles obviously isn't exactly a dark. That's all I can get to the end of Incredibles. Oh, this was so depressing. Oh my god, oh, everyone's dead.
But yeah, no, this takes the message of superheroes and makes the film from there.
Yeah.
Whereas Incredibles looks at how to make a superhero for a story.
Yeah, but Incredibles, of course, they actually are superheroes. Whereas there's no actual superheroes in this per se.
No.
It's just it takes inspiration from those stories. It's very much inspired by a lot of those things, and so it speaks to me because I'm a fan of superheroes. I'm a fan of one specific superhero, which I'll say for the spoilers, just in case you've not seen Iron Giant and you don't know what I'm getting at there. I've often said Iron Giant is the best the best movie about this superhero that we've had in a long time, and I still stand by that.
That we've had in a long time, yes,
Not ever.
definitely.
I never
Not
said
ever.
ever.
No,
Never
no.
said
I'm,
ever.
I'm just when you started that sentence, I was like, okay, where are you going with this?
No, just in a long time.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
In like decades.
Yeah.
So, and that was even at the time.
Yeah.
We didn't have more yet, I suppose. But still.
Yeah.
Whereas now I get to say that, and I'm deliberately throwing a couple of films under the bus. It's like,
You're really throwing shade there.
Uh, so, no, it's a lot of heart. And another thing I really like about this movie is obviously it's a one kid show because it's just Hogarth, but it's very much got that kind of Goonie-esque lead character who's the kid who's going on the adventure, and he is kind of the heart of the movie because he's teaching the giant things, and he has like the innocence and for him, it's not even a question. Like everyone else is like, "Oh, should we be scared of this thing?" And he's like, "No, no. Like I got over that in like 2 minutes. Like as soon as
Yeah.
yeah, sure. I was scared initially because he's 100 foot tall. He's a giant. I mean, if you want to nitpick at the movie, you could argue, this giant stays awfully well hidden for something that every time he took a footstep, my subwoofer was going.
Yeah.
I'm like, what? No one was hearing this.
Do you know what? Like, I had a real problem with the volume of it. Not a problem with the technical side of it. Just the fact that the dynamic range was so big, because the all the speech was at a very normal level, and then every time he took a footstep, it was like, okay, volume down. It's late at night.
Yeah, I wasn't worried about the volume, but I did turn my sub down because the rumbling was absolutely massive.
Yeah, I had to knock that. I had to knock that down as well.
Because it was, and the funny thing was, is as soon as I turned it down, they stopped doing it as much. Like they didn't put as much oomph in it because he stopped being scary.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, wait, have I turned that down too much? Am I just not hearing anything now, or is it just they're just not putting the oomph into every footstep?
So it's
anymore?
a creative use of sound, that.
No, it is. No, it's like, how does it sound to Hogarth? I was just calling Garth there. Hogarth. How does it sound to him? Kind of idea. So it makes sense. But no, so I like that focus of it. I like that kind of renegade kid who is actually doing something relatively important, and he's a smart kid. There's still kiddie elements to him, like he wants attention. There's at one point he yells over, watch this, and he's like, oh, this is for professionals only, and he jumps in the water in the lake, and there's a little kiddie elements to him, but he's also really smart and has a lot of. Plus, he likes staying up late and watching cheesy horror movies, which
that's it, isn't it?
Yeah, like there's very few more things this kid could do to be more relatable. To me specifically.
No, I see what you're saying.
Likes robots, stays up late watching horror movies. I mean, give him a cat and he's like, he's like young me.
Maybe some donuts.
Maybe some donuts. It was in the Twinkies though. I do like a Twinkie.
It was, but it's no donut.
No. Especially if you get a donut with cream in it, like fresh cream.
Yeah, that's better.
That's better than a Twinkie, but a Twinkie's good. Like,
it'll do in a pinch.
If you don't have the option of an actual bakery, you have to buy something prepackaged.
Yeah, that's fair.
Twinkie goes well, but if you're in a bakery, you've got a bouquet of excellence to choose from. So, also, I really like the antagonist. What was his name? Agent Mansley, Kent Mansley. I think he's pretty hilarious, actually, in this.
He is, yeah.
His like sticking his nose in it, trying to get to the bottom of everything, and he's sort of this power-hungry guy who just wants to prove that he's worth something. He's a lot of fun. His interactions with Hogarth in particular are pretty glorious.
Yeah.
I
really like how it plays with the time period. Like it plays with the space race and just the whole stuff with Russia, or the nuclear fear.
Yeah, the fear
it's
of
all
nuclear
there.
bombs, yeah. No, it's good. It uses its setting well, and again that adds into maybe this simpler time of like why the simpler idea of a superhero or the idea of being a good person, it works even better because of the time period.
Yeah.
One thing I really liked was how impressive the use of light was for 2D animation. Like there's scenes early on where Hogarth is out with a flashlight.
Oh yeah, I was questioning like that for a moment, like because obviously this is a new remaster.
Yeah.
Like,
so this is the signature edition.
Yeah, I was like, did it always look like this? This is incredible.
I'm pretty. I mean, it's been a while, admittedly, but I don't remember it not looking good.
Well, I wanted to know what they'd added for the signature edition afterwards, so I just had a quick Google just to see what it was, and they didn't mention at any point any of the animation. So,
do you know what's funny? There was only a couple of things, and I didn't notice them, except one of the main thing that we'll talk about in spoilers because it's very specific. I did think during the scene, I don't remember this, but I didn't know they'd added more scenes, so I just assumed I'd forgotten it.
Yeah.
Until you mentioned what the changes were afterwards. So, yeah. But, no, I love Iron Giant. So I think we'll go into spoilers so we can actually start digging through plot. So, there you go. Full spoilers from this point on for the Iron Giant. Of course, which had Vin Diesel before he was famous in it.
Yeah.
Voice of the giant himself.
Yeah, he doesn't have much to do, but What he does is good.
Would you say he has more or less than he does when he's doing Groot?
I mean, he says less words overall, I think. I mean, I'm just assuming he speaks less times.
No, that's probably true. I don't know. It's
I
tough
don't know
because
because when he's doing Groot, he's not just saying it once and then the copy and pasting it. He's still got to do the different emotion, all the different bits.
sure, but here he has to like at a certain point. Does it almost not get easier being able to just say the same sentence but change the feeling behind it?
No, that's possible.
Where,
Someone should really ask him this.
where,
Someone probably has asked him this.
but here's the thing: Groot is emotional. Like, he's supposed to change his inflections and stuff. Where
Yeah,
here he's voicing a robot, so he has to sound emotional without actually.
changing it, and it's still
Yeah,
got. Yeah, no, I see your point. No, that probably is more difficult.
I don't know. I'm not saying it's a definitive yes or no. I'm pondering the question because it's two kind of famous
It's
voice
it's
roles
it's
he's had.
amusing tracking his career just based off that, isn't it?
Yeah, 'cause this was 2 years before Fast and Furious 1, so this was before anyone knew who he was.
Right. And then seeing him do this, and then come to Groot later on when he's a thing already.
Admittedly, though, he had a small role in Saving Private Ryan 1 year before this, so you could see him in something. At least that I know of, off the top of my head.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
but it wasn't a name.
Yeah. I'm sure you could probably find like 5 appearances in small parts and things before this, but that's the
Probably.
one that I know of. Um, so yeah, let's talk about Superman because
Let's do it.
that's it's is this great? So obviously the giant realizes that he was trying to help. Hogarth was trying to help him because he's getting all electrocuted in the plant because the giant eats metal. So he's eating the power, not the power, not towers, not the lines obviously, and he's trying to chew into them and he's getting all electrocuted. And they kind of befriend and he goes back to the house and he's hiding in the barn. And after some fun hijinks of like the hand creeping around the house and all this stuff's really fun. Like Hogarth try to like make sure his mum doesn't see the hand and like all that stuff. Really good fun. And that's when the agent what's his name?
Kent.
Mansley, Kent Mansley. When he shows up and he's like asking questions and he has to like try and shut the door and he's all fun stuff. But it's after all that settled down and he's in the barn and he brings in some comic books and he's like going through some of them and there's some real ones there because he holds up the Shadow I think at one point, and he holds up something else. There's a few known things, and I think even like now, of course, I know superheroes a lot better. I can see the issue of Action Comics. I can see the logo sitting there in the
Yeah.
pile. I'm like, oh, is that Action Comics? And I'm like, of course it is because I know where the movie's going. And he picks it up and he's like, no, but this is the main guy. This is Superman, and he teaches him about Superman, and a big part of the movie, of course, is Hogarth trying to tell the giant that you get to choose who you are. You don't just have to be what people expect of you or what you were built to be. That's kind of a big arc. That's the arc for the giant. Is he wants to be better than what he's perhaps supposed to be, what he's designed for.
Yeah.
In fact, that's the main scene they added. They had this because I think I don't remember in the original like ever whenever I watched this before. I don't remember like necessarily thinking about where he came from as deeply as I did in this time because the one scene they added was this dream sequence that plays kind of like a memory.
Yeah, he's kind of projecting it onto the TV.
Yeah, he's having this memory where we see him on another planet with lots of other giants, and
Yeah,
they're like war bots, and they're killing things, and it's all very kind of apocalyptic feeling. And I think it does add an extra spin onto this, where it really confirms what he was for before this. Whereas I think originally it was kind of hinted, yeah, okay, he's got all these weapons, he was probably built for that purpose, but you didn't necessarily know for sure. Was he ever actually used? Was he like a prototype? Was he the only one of his kind? Like there was all these things that weren't really answered. Whereas this dream actually kind of says, no, he was part of a fleet. This was like he was
yeah,
one of many.
it's kind of terrifying.
Which arguably maybe like actually adds to the theme of the movie, where he's like he was one of an army, and now he's like an individual
Yeah, I think it does because
fighting
it's
himself.
he's managed to stick out from the crowd.
Yeah, and all it took was a little bit of innocence from a kid, and maybe learning what a superhero was and doing good. And there's a lot of
And a good bump on the head.
yeah, and there's a lot of good little plays on that. Like one of the first things he does that's good is he accidentally like he messes up some train tracks, and then Hogarth makes him put them back down. And it's like it made me think of one of the typical things you see Superman doing in the movie, like the first movie, is flying to and sort of finishing the train track with his back.
Yeah.
Which I don't really buy that the train would go over his back smoothly, but that's something that it did, and it kind of reminded you of that, of him so he's pushing the train tracks down to make them flat again, so the train can go. And of course, that's where they set up the Iron Giant. Like if his body parts get separated, they all sort of come back to him.
Yeah, it's got a little homing beacon.
Little homing beacon comes out. We said. But no, him thinking he's Superman, and there's that great moment later on where he learns he can fly, or at least Hogarth learns he can fly, because he goes off the cliff and he flies up, and there's that great, beautiful, beautiful shot of them going past his mum, because his mum's chasing him in the car, because oh, my son's a robot's got my son
kidnapped by a giant robot. Yeah.
And she's at the edge of the cliff and it's just going past, and I think that's something that really sticks out for me, and it's something because these days we don't have a lot of 2D animation, and the only 2D animation I really see in any great extent is probably those straight to VOD DC animated movies.
Like Disney are typically, they were, where you got a lot of it. They're the ones that.
Once upon a time.
The most recent one they did was Princess and the Frog.
And that was kind of a weird, let's do this again, because we've not done this in a while.
Yeah,
and then
much.
They've not really done it since, have they?
I don't think they've done it at all since, no.
Yeah. But the reason why I bring those up is there's legitimate moments in this movie where I actually thought this looks great, and from a cinematography point of view, as weird as that sounds, because it's animation and not cinematography, but that shot of him flying past and her standing there on the edge of the cliff looked gorgeous. It just looked good. It looked epic. It looked cinematic, and it made me kind of realize how some of these animated movies that I've been seeing from DC recently are kind of just standard. They're kind of easy to shit out, and not to put down the people working on those, but this feels like a movie. This feels like this is money in it.
Definitely. And I think 2D animation ages better, because with 3D animation you can see, if you go back and look at Toy Story, great movie, and then look at one of the ones coming out now, you can see the difference. Just physically, you can just see this has come that far.
Yeah, it's the same with video games. It's the exact same thing.
Right. But with 2D animation, there's a good 50-year period where you can look at it and go, right, it could be anywhere in there, really.
Yeah, more or less. It holds up quite well, and I think this movie looking so good is perhaps maybe a testament to, because obviously at the time, and even up until for another decade, we didn't know that Brad Bird was eventually going to go do some live action movies, which are genuinely really good. Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol's the best in that series. And then you've got Tomorrowland, which wasn't loved by critics, but I actually quite liked it for the most part.
I liked it a lot. Again, kind of follows those Brad Bird themes of hope. Yeah,
hope and optimism, and don't be a cynical ass. And so there's a lot of those heroic themes at play here. That there's going to town, because obviously the reason why the town even discovers them, and why the military comes back, is because he jumps in to save a couple of kids who are falling off a building, because he needs to help people.
He's got to be a hero.
The moment, of course, that I always tear up at is evil agent Mansley has grabbed the walkie-talkie, because the general's actually quite a reasonable dude. He realizes, wait, the kid's alive? You lied about that? And oh wait, the giant's actually not going to attack us if we don't attack him. He's actually quite reasonable. He's like, no, let's stop this right now. We don't have to fight. This is easy.
We can solve this out with diplomacy instead of a big massive gun.
No, but it's actually Mansley who is like, no. He just grabs a walkie-talkie and talks to the sub. He's like, no, fire the missile now. So there's a nuke coming towards, and Iron Giant has his heroic sacrifice moment. But as he's flying up towards it, and he's putting his hand out like Superman. And you hear the sort of the line from earlier where Hogarth said, "You can be whoever you want to be," and just before he hits it, it says "Superman," and it's this really touching moment, and the music's swelling up, and it always gets to me.
Oh no, definitely. I see what you're saying. It's a great moment.
So no, I cannot praise Iron Giant enough.
No, it's an excellent movie. It really is.
It's yeah, it's got, and that's another thing I wanted to just mention about the 50s theme is even the idea of him staying up and watching these cheesy horror movies, it feels very 50s.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
it's like a brain's eating the guy's head. It is super cheesy 50s.
It's just a 50s B movie.
Yeah, and I think that's a big part of it is that even the fact that it's a small town in Maine, like every part of it, like this setting is it all builds to the point where I could see this being live action. No, I don't want them to remake it live action, but I think you could have like maybe if they trusted Brad Bird with like 10 times the budget, they'd have said, yeah, just go make it live action, and I don't think it would suffer for it.
It probably wouldn't. I mean, maybe the CG of the giant at the time.
In 1999, yeah, sure,
Yeah.
definitely, but I feel like there's nothing actually about this movie that it needs to be animated, and that. But at the same time, the animation is gorgeous. It looks fantastic. I'm not begrudging it any of that. But I think the reason why I love this movie so much is because this would work either way. It's just that good. It's just the
Oh,
writing's
definitely.
impeccable. The characters are good. The junkyard guy, Dean, like his
Yeah.
relationship with the kid's funny. His relationship with the mother's pretty good. The mother herself is actually quite likable, and she's not like this antagonist for him. It's
Yeah, I think that's really rare to see in an animated film. You know, when the mother of the kid being even a character almost. Most times they're just off screen, basically, just going, "Here, have some food," and that's it. They're gone from the movie.
yeah, no, she's there, and she has her own thing going on, and actually one of my favorite parts of the movie, or favorite segments of the movie, is when Mansley goes full kind of like nut job, and he actually like, comes and interrogates Hogarth with the light,
Yeah, I love that
and
sequence.
it's right in his eye, and then even just before that with the montage of like him like so. Why do you think it'll be a robot sport? Oh, hey Slugger, why do you? It's like you got to call them all the nicknames, and it's all this really condescending stuff, which leads to the laxatives, which leads to the funny little segments of him running off to poo at various moments. But my favorite reveal of that whole sort of subplot of him like trying to like get stuff out of Hogarth. It's like he's already called the army. They're coming in the morning. And I'm going to watch you to make sure you can't go warn the giant, right? So he's just sitting in the room across, staring at him while he's in bed, and he falls asleep and he wakes up and he gets up. And I love that the movie expects us to guess that he's like just placed the helmet because he was wearing like a helmet when he went to bed,
Yeah,
Hogarth. And the movie expects us to kind of guess that he's probably just put some pillows under the sheets and put the helmet on the pillow. But I don't think any of us expect that because Mansley gets up, he looks over his side, like, haha, yes, I won. And then Hogarth just walks, from the side across the doorway, says, "Hey, good morning," and he just walks past, and it's so perfect. It's the idea that he's already been and warned them and came back that makes it hilarious.
yeah, because you don't have to worry about any, chase to stop him.
Yeah, yeah, it's
It's
just
like, no, moment's been done. It's great.
no, it's really funny because I like that we guessed exactly what he'd done, but it reveals it in a really fun way that we probably didn't see coming.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a really really nice touch.
It's
It's got those nice touches throughout.
yeah. I love that interrogation scene as well. You know, with the light. It was another one of those you mentioned early on with the flashlight. How it just looks great.
Yeah,
That moment where it's the typical moment in those interrogation scenes where he slaps the light away with his hand, and it spins off on its arm. I was just like, damn, that looks fantastic.
even whenever the giant's in silhouette, it looks really good
Yeah.
at night time and stuff. I it wouldn't surprise me. Like I think because the lighting is so good, I imagine there probably was maybe some
Touching
CG
up a little
help
bit. Yeah.
at the time. I mean, not now. I just mean at the time in '99.
Yeah.
They probably like drew in the light to a point in the animation and then put in an effect to actually make it shine and make it
Yeah.
pop the way it does, which is fine. I have no problems with that. Uh, it's no different than Basil the Great Mouse Detective of using CG for the cogs. Like
Yeah.
if there's something you can't quite achieve with the 2D animation, yeah, sprinkle in other
Well, I think
elements.
that's. I mean, we talk about again to go back to comparing this to live action. I think that's something we often find with live action films is if you can't do it practical, yeah, use CG. Don't overdo it and do everything with CG, but there's no harm in using it. And it's the same
Absolutely.
here. Is there's no harm in using it to enhance something.
We probably should have talked about this in the spoiler-free section, but just some of the cast. We mentioned Vin Diesel earlier, of course. Obviously, Jennifer Aniston is probably the biggest name. Well, arguably Vin Diesel's bigger now, but certainly
At
at
the
the time,
time,
yeah.
yeah,
Jennifer Aniston plays the mom. Also, It's funny because I think every time I watch this, I have this same moment of realization: who's playing Mansley? And I don't even know the actors. I mean, I'm looking at it now. It's Christopher McDonald, but I don't know that name typically. Uh, after a couple of lines, I'm like, that's Shooter McGavin, and it's Shooter McGavin. If you're not familiar, Shooter McGavin is a character from Happy Gilmore. Now, I don't typically, pride myself on referencing Adam Sandler films, but there was a time when he made a couple of pretty funny movies, and Happy Gilmore was certainly a staple of my early teens. So, Shooter McGavin. So, and he's got a very distinct voice. It's really difficult not to hear him. Also, I didn't realise this, but the General is played by John Mahoney, who is Frasier's dad from Frasier. So,
Okay.
never recognised his voice, but I'm sure
No,
if I
I
went
would
back
never
and,
have known
yeah.
if you hadn't told me.
I'm sure if I went back and listened to it now with that in my mind, I probably would. Oh yeah, it's him. I can almost hear him saying something to Eddie, or
Yeah.
But cast is pretty good. I think they all have distinct voices, and I think it leans to the likability of the characters, and I think that's a very Brad Bird thing. Is with the exception of maybe sometimes his villains, but even here his villain is quite amusing and funny. His ultimate end is he's a bit of a coward, and he's not actually doing this for his country. He just he's almost just the thrill of the hunt for him. Like he wants to do this to prove himself, not really
Yeah,
about.
I think
anyone.
he thinks he's doing it for his country for a while.
Oh sure, yeah.
Because that's what he's like. No, this is what I'm supposed to do. And it's only when it comes down to the actual moment where he's like, nope, it's all about me.
Yeah, he tries to drive away, and the giant just puts his hand down in front of him, and he crashes. Yeah, that's
Great.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good stuff. Actually, the whole nuclear thing, because you hear the sirens go off, and it's like, oh, the nuke's coming. This is your however many minutes warning. Probably less because the submarine's so close. But they really set it up really nicely because in like one of the school scenes early on, there's not a lot of them, but there's a little school scene with like Hogarth like drawing the giant after he's met him, and they're watching just a nuclear bomb video, like the siren goes off, or this is what a nuclear bomb does.
One of those infomercials, basically.
Yeah, the sort of thing you'd get in school where it teaches you. I mean, obviously we were born much later. We didn't get these specific type of ones in school because the threat of nuclear war had calmed down a little bit by the time we were in the school system. But it sets up the movie nicely though, because when the air raid sirens come, I think it's something maybe I hadn't appreciated before. Is how kind of neatly Bird had set up some of these things early on, so they paid off later.
That's it. It's one of those things for people who never grew up with that. Like most of the people watching that movie now, where we'll hear those sirens and most of us will probably know. But if you're watching this as a kid, you might not know that. So it teaches you in the movie, so that when you hear it, you know what it means. It's clever.
Really simple. I think I think obviously for the kids in this particular sense that works really well. But even just in like a regular movie sense, I think it's just a nice little foreshadowing moment for us as well.
Yeah, definitely.
It foreshadows that idea, and the idea that maybe to some this giant represents, and to sort of go into Godzilla territory, the giant himself to some people is like, oh, this is basically another, because that's actually what he's calling it. It's like, who built this? It's a weapon. The Russians did this. The Russians, has to be the Russians. So that element's kind of in there as well.
Well, that's it, isn't it? Because we see he is just walking weaponry.
Yeah, because it transforms and he's got his beams, and it's a very War of the Worlds when he's got the three prongs that come out in there. But he makes the choice. He actually or Hogarth stops him. Hogarth reminds him of who he is and who to choose to be. And there's that great shot of Hogarth standing against this giant cannon that his arms turned into, and it's like the size of a ship essentially.
Yeah,
it's huge. He's dwarfed by this big cannon thing that's like if he fires this thing, it's going to make a crater, which is a bit overkill for this 10-year-old kid or whatever age he is.
It is good, and obviously I like that moment where we first realise that he's got all that weaponry, like aside from not including the dream sequence bit, but later on when he points the toy gun at him.
Yeah.
And because obviously they're playing superheroes, and he's put the S on himself because he wanted to be Superman, and then he does his heat vision essentially.
Kind of actually, yeah. But he can't control it, and he almost is. It's actually Dean that jumps in, saves Hogarth.
Yeah, it's just a reflex at that point.
Yeah, But that's a big deal later on in the movie, though, is that he actually fights it and he comes
Well,
back from it.
I think that's why it's important to set up early on, even before he. Because obviously, we see the bit where the dent comes out of his head, and it's like, okay, he's reverted to normal, out of like what he was programmed for. He's not damaged anymore. But earlier on, when he is damaged, that there's that base level instinct of defending himself.
Yeah.
So it's when you're fighting against it, it means that much more because it is such a deep instinct for him.
And I think what this ultimately, you've got hope, you've got the idea of being a hero and all the rest of it. But I think what a lot of it boils down to is the idea of communication. Like, if you actually try and just talk to someone and teach them right from wrong, they'll learn it. It's really that simple. The idea that the whole idea that if you see something you don't understand, your first instinct shouldn't be to fire your weapons at it, which is basically what some characters want to do here.
Yeah.
It's actually really refreshing that the general very quickly says, "No, if he's not firing at us, then we don't need to."
I think it's showing there that not everyone's an idiot. He's prepared to take it out because he thinks it's a threat. I mean, you don't judge him for coming in with the army and shooting at him when he thinks it's killed a kid, because he thinks, no, this thing has proven to be a threat. I've got to stop it. That's defending your country at that point.
He's a pretty reasonable guy, because even earlier on, when Mansley's like on the phone to him, he's like, "Oh, there's a giant here's a metal robot," and he's got no proof. He's like, "I'm not sending anyone if you get no proof. You can't give me anything. You need to give me a photo. You need to give me more than some crazy eyewitness who's got a concussion." Like, he's very sensible. He's making very logical points. We get to the ending, and he sacrificed himself. We jump ahead. What was the time jump? I can't remember. A year later, 2 years later, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
What I say? And there's a little statue. Well, I say a little. It's just big, but it's not to scale, of course. He's maybe 10 foot tall instead of 100. But there's an Iron Giant statue, and the general sent Hogarth like the one piece that they were able to recover, because Giant flew into the missiles that was up in the air coming back down into Earth, and Hogarth wakes up at night, and the little. It's basically a little screw. It's just kind of like tapping against the window, wants to get out, and you get that final great shot of like all the different parts like coming together or walking towards something in the snow. And I think it said it was Iceland, and they're all coming in. It just camera. It's again how good the animation is. It feels like the camera's tracking in as if there was a camera, and it tracks in. And the Iron Giant's like beacon is pulsing and the eyes open, and it's this happy ending. It's like, nah. And I think what that says to me is like, it's not so much that it's making it cheap where the sacrifice had no meaning. I think it goes back to earlier in the film where Hogarth explained the difference between a body and a soul, and he says that a soul lives forever.
Yeah.
And I think it's the idea that the idea of him hoping, the idea of the giant wanting to help, that is his soul, and because of that he gets to live.
Absolutely. I also don't think it undermines it at all, because even with the sacrifice, he's still been there for however long it was. There was a cost to what he did.
Well, you imagine all of these pieces were scattered across the planet because they
right, exactly.
Yeah.
So there was a cost still. So it wasn't like it was nothing. It wasn't like, I took it and then I'm fine straight away. There was still a price to pay.
Also, comparing this whole thing to Superman, because obviously that's the reason why Superman even comes up, is because Hogarth compares him and he says, "Oh no, he came from the sky as well, like you," and so on. And he didn't know who he was, and but after a while he became this. And to compare it to Superman again, when Superman died in the comics, he was gone for a while, and then he came back. So it's kind of funny how it neatly kind of parallels to that as well, which is...
It is, yeah.
Which I don't even think that was intentional, but it just kind of works.
It does. I will say the one thing I was a little bit almost surprised at the ending is, when inside the box, I thought the part was going to be just the little beacon bit, so it was all going to come to him.
Ah, right, okay.
I wasn't thinking of having the whole head around the beacon, but just the beacon bit.
To go back to the Superman comparisons, the fact that it's all going to it's not quite the Arctic, but it's close enough. It's fairly
enough,
close.
Yeah. I was thinking that as well.
It's close enough. It's still in the snow.
It all counts. It's all the same once you get to cold.
Yeah, Fortress of Solitude, if you will. But no, I think I've hit on all my points that I wanted to make. I think it's hopeful. I'm always uplifted when I watch it. I think it's something that most kids should watch growing up. I think the messaging is very on point, but it's also excellently crafted, excellently paced. And even adding the extra dream sequence didn't hurt the pacing at all. It very clearly felt like it was always meant to be there.
Well, yeah, that's what I was just going to say. Those bits, when I was Googling what it was, he was saying they weren't cut because he wanted them cut for whatever reason, and they've just decided to put them back in. It was they'd recorded it, all the sound, they'd storyboarded it, but then because of the budget and the time constraints, they just had to not animate them. So
it's amazing how much easier it is to do the one or two scenes later when it's only just the one or two scenes you have to do years later. It's like, we could just do this one scene. Yes.
Yeah, go ahead. Why not?
Spend a month on it. Like, why not?
Exactly.
So, no, that's Iron Giant. I love it. I thoroughly recommend it. I have very little bad to say. No, even I think I don't want to give away my other favorite animated movies because we'll no doubt end up doing.
Yeah, you've mentioned one of them in here anyway.
Have I?
You did. We were talking about some specific cogs.
Did I say it was one of my favourites?
You've mentioned it before. Yeah.
Well, whatever. You know, it's not higher than Iron Giant. That's what's important. So yeah, I guess we should do some ratings.
And we're just going to assume yours is a 10 then, based on everything you've said.
Pretty much, yeah. That's a 10. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to give it a 9.
Okay.
But it's definitely very good, and maybe if I watch it again, it'll be a 10.
Yeah, I think for me it's not only is the messaging on point, not only the characters fun, not only is the 50s setting and all the little 50s elements that they throw in good. I think Hogarth's desire to find something that's science fiction-y or horror-esque out there, and then befriending it, and then it reeks of my partly my own personal mentality as a kid, but I think kids in general have that mentality growing up where they want things to be good, and it speaks to me in a lot of ways. So
that's fair. I haven't got any particular reason why it's a 9 and not a 10. It's just not quite on first viewing, but
yeah, maybe you watch it in a few years' time and you revisit it, you'll grow
might
fonder.
stand out and go, you know what? Yeah, this is worth it.
But there you go. That is The Iron Giant. Let us know what you think of the movie in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. It helps us out if you do. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. Head over to patreon.com/mailedfuzztv if you want to support the channel and everything we do here. Of course, some of the perks include getting these episodes a week early. Also, the $5 tier lets you vote for a bonus episode every month. The vote for the following month's bonus is up right now. The theme is 1987, so all the movies are from 1987. I'm not going to say them all right now because I can't remember them off the top of my head. But the winner from last month was Memento, so that's coming up soon. Might even be the next episode. In fact, I think it will be the next episode.
Probably will be, yeah.
So you can look forward to that. But otherwise, guys, that is us. So thank you very much once again for watching, and we'll see you next time.